So where is Berger Bullets today? You know, we've kind of got everybody up to the, you know, you sold the company in what year?
About 1999, probably.
Well, how come you aren't home retired?
How come I'm not retired?
Yeah.
Well, you can't retire. You know, you have to have something to do. When you're doing something that you like to do, you are sort of retired, you know.
Yep. And I know you've kept, you know, it's one of the wonderful things about Berger Bullets. Here you sold this company years ago, and you've kept active with the company, and you're as active, you know, answering questions and helping shooters as you were back in the old days, you know. So you work 7 days. We were talking about it last night. You're working 7 days a week on a new project that we probably want to venture a little bit. A new reloading handbook by Berger Bullets.
Yes, we are, and we're nearing completion. We're going to complete that project.
So we might see that on the Sinclair website near the end of this year, maybe?
Well, we certainly are working towards that goal. I hesitate because I was at an indoor shooting range in Michigan visiting Brian Litz, our ballistician, and I noticed one of our brochures was hanging up on this individual's wall, and on it it said it was a 1998 brochure, and I know that because look for new in 1999 Berger Bullets loading manual.
Wow.
So the loading manual's been a long time coming and in production. It's important information. It's comprehensive. It's a lot of information, just as any loading manual is.
Right.
So it's a big job, but we're getting much closer.
Well, and we know the difficulty of putting something out like that. You know, especially the first generation of a reloading manual, because there's an awful lot of testing that has to go on. There's just, you know, the layout work and everything. So I can tell you from our customers out there, they're really looking forward to seeing this product. So we hope to see it. And no pressure, guys.
Yeah, no
not
pressure.
trying to put any pressure
Sure.
on you, but you know, we want to. Hopefully, we'll see that sometime in the next 12 months or so.
It's our goal.
Achievable goal.
Absolutely.
You know, so that's what's going on new today. Is there anything upcoming that we want to hear about or talk about? You know,
Well,
I mean, just keeping up with production is a chore in its own.
Yeah, we've got a lot of exciting things going on at Berger. One is the growth. You know, the fact that we are expanding into so many new areas, and it's not that we're doing things new. It's just that more and more people are enjoying a high precision bullet, and some of our long range hunting stuff is really growing very rapidly. I'd say the most exciting recent development is our 338 bullet. We initially made a 338 bullet that had a very high BC, very efficient in the wind.
Let me stop you there for just a second. Can you give us a layman's term about BC? Explain what's BC.
Sure. A ballistic coefficient is a numerical representation of how a bullet will perform in the wind.
Okay.
And the higher the number, the better a bullet will perform in the wind and trajectory-wise. Retain velocity. You retain velocity and trajectory-wise.
So as that bullet exits the muzzle of the firearm, you know, what we'll call muzzle velocity, how well it continues to perform and how well it keeps or retains velocity as it flies downrange.
Correct, and that can be characterized by a BC number, which, to get more technical, that is a percentage against a model.
Okay.
Each BC, there's a G1 BC, there's a G7 BC. Those BCs or those models have a particular performance characteristic. It's a set projectile at a certain velocity will travel a certain way through the air and just based on resistance.
You guys have some bullets that have some of the highest BCs in the world, and that's where you were going to, is on that 338. 300 grain bullet has an extremely high BC.
It's got an 818 G1 averaged BC. It's the highest BC bullet in existence, 338 or smaller. We were very excited about introducing it. We introduced it about a year ago, and initially it shoots very well, but there were some concerns when it got in the really high velocity regimes, 3,000 feet per second and plus, in some cases 2,950. Performance would degrade. And so over the last 12 months, we've been working on how we can resolve that. And we were able to do that here lately. and the bullets have been tested up at 3,350 feet per second, and they're doing great.
Okay, now that bullet, the demand for that bullet probably came from like the 338 Lapua or Lapua, depending on how you want to pronounce it. So, is there any other cartridges that bullet's been used for? Have people embraced it and used it in other 338s?
Yeah, it's been used in several 338s. Most notably, the Edge is one that comes up quite often. The 338 Lapua comes up very often. The gentleman who shot it at 3,350 actually shot it out of I think it was a 416 Shy-Tac that he had necked down.
Okay.
So he's a really big case. But the 338 Lapua mag is the one you hear about the most. But there's the BR or the Norma 338 Norma case as well.
Right, that's relatively new also.
Yeah.
The 338 is by far the most popular as far as incoming requests for.
Okay. So you guys are really on the cutting edge. You know, that's where the future for Berger is. You're going to stay on that cutting edge, continue to stay on the match grade bullet quality, regardless of whether it's for hunting or for target shooting or varmint hunting, anything like that. Your goal has always been just to keep creating a match grade bullet.
Could I interject?
Absolutely.
You know what you're saying is absolutely true. And a lot of the hunters, and just even a lot of the plinkers, are interested in accuracy. You'd be surprised. They want accuracy no matter, you know, almost beyond what they really need.
Right.
But they want that. They feel comfortable with that. Berger, as far as I'm concerned, will never change from being a match grade hunting bullet, tactical bullet, or whatever it was to be used for, because our system doesn't allow us to build anything other than that. We're set up that we will not produce a so-called second. The people call, will you sell me any seconds? I say, we don't have any seconds. If it's the second, that means we're running something that we will shut down, we will fix or repair or do whatever is necessary. We do not have seconds.
Yeah, and I want to share for our viewers a couple things. You know, one is that Walt has always had a standing invitation to anybody at a shoot, and he shoots all the time at bench rest shoots all over the country. You've always had a standing invitation that if you were unhappy with, you know, the bullets you're shooting, come grab them out of your own box that you were using, and that's been way back where you've offered that, and you still do that, don't you?
You know, that was one of the first things I did. I was shooting very well when I making my own bullets, you know, and they'd say, well, you keep the best bullets. I said, no problem, you know, go bring your box over here. If we're shooting the same caliber, same bullet, bring it over, I'll swap you. You take my box, I'll shoot your box. And normally I would kick their butts with their box.
Right.
Yeah. So
exactly. The other thing, you know, people have an influence on your life, and Walt, you may not even know this, but indirectly, you know, you've been one of those people that have influenced my life, because you and Fred Sinclair, you guys have always told me, and I've heard this indirectly from you over the 20 years that I've known you, is if you were going to do something, you know, do it right. Otherwise, it's not. And I'm not paraphrasing you exactly, but you know, basically what I learned from that: if you're going to bother doing something, do it right. Don't do it halfway. You know, there's no halfways in this business, and it's obvious from the products you've produced that, you know, you've taken that seriously, and you guys still continue to do that at Berger Bullets. So.